So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Questions?
Mr. Mayor, if we could add the item to the agenda before it is adopted, please. I'm sorry.
Okay,
If you could amend that motion, please.
there's going to be an addition to it. So can you amend it?
I can't. Somebody else has to amend it, yeah.
I would like to amend the agenda to include a change order for the Farmers Market Main Street project.
Under what part of the agenda? Both work session and voting session?
It has to be should be new business work session and voting session.
Second. All right, now we have a motion and amendment. Both have been seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Is that change on this new copy that we have? It's not, is it? Okay, then, no, that's that thing, yeah. Why don't we do that one first, then? I'll forget it later. We'll do the first one, change order for the farmer's market.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a change order for change order number 12 for the Farmers Market Main Street project. We're asking that you declare this an emergency and approve this change order in an amount not to exceed $76,545.53. This also would add 30 days to the existing contract for substantial completion. However, we have a design from an architectural firm called H. Gore for improvements to Main Street on what the sidewalk is going to look like and what the drainage will be, but the design is not final. But to allow the contractor, Triscapes, to continue working on Main Street, we need to approve this change order, declare it an emergency, and increase the time frame. But in 1 month, at the second meeting in February, we will have a final number as well as the final time that they need to increase their contract by. The number that we have now is a preliminary design number that we have for the change order, and it is very similar to the final design, but it is not the final number. But in order to complete this project and to continue going and to allow for the opening of the businesses that we have rented to our tenants, one of them is planning to open in February, we need this work to continue, and to do that, we need a change order approved.
Okay.
Are there questions?
Okay. This is just going to hold us over until we
Get the final
find out
number.
exactly how much it's going to cost, and we won't stop work on it, so it won't slow us up.
Correct. We want the work to continue.
Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. New business, the work session, Drug Enforcement Task Force Agreement.
So this agreement was provided by the Drug Enforcement Agency. We've already selected an officer that's going to be assigned to this task force, and for them to go further into his background, they want to make sure that this agreement was okay with the city of Flowery Branch. So that's what that agreement is.
Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple questions, just for, I guess for some clarity. Chief, with this task force, does the city have to pay anything for our officers to participate in this program?
So we still have to pay the salary,
Yes.
but the federal government will pay all the overtime for that. We also, we got to provide them a vehicle. So that's two things that we have to provide as the city of Flowery Branch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So some of the benefits that would come out of having our officer down there with this task force.
So Mike Conley is the DEA agent that we're dealing with that is over this task force, and they are stationed in Atlanta, but they also do work all the way up to Gainesville. There's a Gainesville officer that's assigned to this same task force. So I think it's a great tool or resource to use if there's something that goes down here in Flowery Branch. We're actually adopting a whole task force to help us with that. So that's the biggest asset that I could ever ask for. But then also, then you have all the asset forfeitures. So we'll get a certain percentage of all the asset forfeitures on their cases.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
And that's asset forfeitures in the entire region, not just in Flowery Branch.
That's correct,
Yeah,
sir.
so we split it up,
That's right.
similar to how things work with SPOS and lost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think the biggest thing is the, you know, when word gets around, it can be a deterrent for
Absolutely.
us.
And that's what we want. We want them to stay out of here.
Yes, and Chief, this was also the position, when we added this position, this was in part of that job description and reason for adding this officer, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Chief. Next, we've got to consider a build a single-family home at 5710 Gainesville Street. And I might add, the gentleman has signed up, somebody signed up that lives there. If they want to speak now instead of during the regular time.
That's fine. Do you want me to just give you a quick overview of why we're?
Yeah, I mean, and if he wants to speak and add anything, so.
Perfect. Okay, so this is, per our ordinance, anything built in the central business district does require council approval. So how this came about is it was originally going to be a remodel. It turned into a demolition. And then they came forward with a building permit. And at that time, when we were checking that, we saw that CBD, Central Business District zoning, and that's why we're here tonight. But they did submit a complete application, and if this was an R2 or an R1 situation, they'd probably be coming out of the ground already. But this is the location. You can see it's just on the cusp of the CBD. And they did submit these elevations. And again, a complete building permit application was submitted, and staff suggests we approve as submitted. So at this time, if the applicant would like to come up and speak further on it, that'd be great.
Mr. Appler, yeah. Coming up. Yeah.
I guess,
Just state your name and your address, please.
my name's Michael Appling, and my personal address,
Yes.
3360 Outlet Drive.
Okay, and use the microphone now.
Yes, I can. And, what do I mean,
Oh, I thought you wanted to say something.
not necessarily, I mean, I just wanna,
Okay, well, I don't think we have any questions then. I thought you wanted to say something. Something like that.
Everyone involved's been super easy to work with, and we've just been trying to work through this process, and
Yeah.
there's been no hiccups on it or anything.
That's the one just straight up Main Street.
Correct, that's right, sir.
Yeah,
So they-
the other house is torn down.
They demolished the house that was there that was quite in bad shape, and now they want to put something there that's much nicer looking.
Yes, sir,
Gonna be
A
new.
brick ranch,
Is that a brick front?
yeah.
correct.
Very good.
Thank you.
Next is the consideration of Resolution 23-002.
Hey, Mayor and Council, how are y'all? So tonight we have the consideration resolution for 23-002, the second quarter budget amendment for fiscal year 2023. A balanced budget is required by Georgia law on local government budgets and Government Finance Offers Association best practices. We will present these quarterly if needed, and if you want to read up more on the the local law, that the link is there available. So some of the changes or requests that we are making for the general fund, we need to increase the city manager car allowance budget. Originally, it was entered incorrectly for the fiscal year 2023. So to have enough funds available for the remainder of the year, we are requesting an adjustment for a total of $4,000. An increase for our traffic signal with AT&T. Our monthly rates with AT&T has continued to go up annually, sometimes twice a year. We have a new AT&T rep, so we've been doing a lot of research and homework with them. They're actually in the process of updating all of our old AT&T lines. This will drop our bills significantly. We're currently paying over $800 per line, and there's about 3 lines at that amount, and it's going to drop to about $50 a month. So we just need an adjustment for the total of $2,700 to accommodate that change for the remainder of the year. We are also requesting an increase in the culture and recreation electricity. This was not accounted for in fiscal year 23 budget. It's the electricity for our new pavilion, the amphitheater, and the other outdoor lighting in that area. We are requesting an adjustment for $80,000 total for that. We are also requesting an increase for contract services and plan review expenses in the planning department. This is related to the open position as well. Due to that open position, we're having to use some outside assistance, so we're requesting $40,000 for each of those for contract services and plan review. Also for the public relations and tourism, the amount of $500, this is just to account for the ornaments that we had purchased for resale. This will just be a shift of the revenue that has come in for those into that account. And also for concert expenses, in the total amount of $15,350 for the remainder of the year. And this is just a summary of our attachment A that you also have to show where those funds are being pulled from. I would like to note that the insurance premium tax revenue, we budgeted $505,000 for that, and we actually came in ahead at $831,227. So several of these adjustments, we're adjusting the budget for that revenue to accommodate these additional expenses. The explanations you also have included are any other budget adjustments that we've done throughout the quarter that have been approved at the city manager and finance director level. Those were just within department level. So we are requesting to approve resolution 23-002 for the fiscal year 23 second quarter budget adjustments as presented. Any questions?
You have the total of all those adjustments?
Yes, so the total adjustment, let's see. Well, I should have it on this form. I do not have the total in front
Well,
of
we
me.
can-
I can get that for you.
We can add it up, I think. I don't have that.
351,700. Sorry, I looked right over it.
That's okay.
Are all these going to be reoccurring expenses year to year? I know that with the inspection thing, obviously, that could fluctuate because it's contracted, depending on how much building and stuff goes on in the city and whether or not we may move to having our own in-house eventually. So I know that one, but as far as the one that I was thinking about was the electricity, the $80,000 electricity. Is that something that's going to be reoccurring as far as?
We will have reoccurring fees in the electricity. I'm not sure that it would be 80,000. That is definitely an area that I'm continuing to dig into. I know the Christmas celebration and the extra lights, that does feed into it, but I just need to do some more on that. So it will be reoccurring and will be in the budget for next year.
Okay. Yeah, I was just, the 80,000, I thought, whoa, wow. I can't-
And that catches up,
surprised
because there was nothing in that budget at all, so that catches up to where we are to date and
The
covers the rest of
backtracking,
the
so
fiscal
it's
year.
having to, because we're accruing that now. Yes, I got you. Okay. Yeah. Boy, Georgia Power's making out well. Wow. My goodness.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we've added so many things that there's probably going to be other things that's going to come up that we're not
And
familiar
one
with.
thing that we're doing to help anticipate these costs is when we're getting ready to go into our budget season with capital budgets, there is a whole additional section that Matt has created on our spreadsheet to account for these operating expenses so that we can properly budget for any of those coming out of capital.
So that 80, it's just for the electricity, or does that actually include the lighting, like the actual?
It's all the
like, fixture?
lighting, all the lighting
Oh,
and
okay.
electricity for all of it.
So it's part of the hardware is going to be covered under that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, well, okay, so with the lighting and the fixtures and stuff, so that,
That won't be real.
yeah, that wouldn't be the reoccurring. So the reoccurring, because that's what I was thinking, I was like, wow, that's really expensive
Yeah.
to run. I mean, it's like stadium lighting. I was wondering if, starting to think maybe we should call Truist Park and see what they're paying for their stadium lighting out there.
Well, we will verify that.
Compare price, compare cost.
Yes.
We'll verify that. I thought that was just electricity,
Okay. I'll
but
double check.
we also have so many lights downtown and in our amphitheater, and they're on as soon as dusk
Yes.
hits. So we maybe we have to turn
And
the
some-
lights off early.
Yeah. And some of this, we don't have a lot of history to give a good guess for the future. So this may be overestimated just based on what we've used thus far. And we did have a lot more lights with the holidays, so that will affect it.
Okay.
And there's a lot of light poles laying on the ground as you weasel your way to the city hall.
And a question about the AT&T lines for the traffic lights and everything. So they're installing new lines. Is that going to be done here shortly, or is that
Yes,
without,
so
throughout the year?
there's been several lines that AT&T has already replaced for us. They're also helping us with internet cost as well. So they're slowly got things scheduled out to get those replaced. I think it's scheduled out through the next 1 to 2 months, and they should be complete.
Oh, okay.
But
So
I'll keep you guys updated on the deadlines for those.
by the following quarter, we shouldn't have that issue.
That is my hope,
Awesome.
as long as they don't change anything on their end with supplies.
So the bills will go down to $50 a line?
Yeah, there is an initial installation fee that we'll have to pay, but after that, it's a significant, because those lines were so old, they had trouble finding them in their system to even help us, so.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, Chris, so you did indicate that our revenue from the insurance was a plus. Did you have any other good news when you're looking at the budget?
We did have a few other areas that have come in, the revenue has come in higher, not as significant as that one, but we're continuing to monitor that as revenue just comes in at different times. So we're still watching that. Not all bad news. Any other questions?
Anybody? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to consider the professional services agreement with Bureau Veritas North America.
So this falls in line with what we were just discussing with the inspections, and I can explain it real quick. With the departure of Mr. Bowers, as you recall, he was our building official, but he also did erosion and soil inspections. Not all of them, but he could do them. He was qualified and certified. So we did still outsource some of those erosion and sediment control inspections to CPL, but Mr. Bowers did do a vast majority of him. So with his departure, there was a vacuum to fill, not only for the building official, but also for those E&S inspections. So we had no luck in finding anyone on the outside to bring in as a full-time inspector. And the theory was being we could replace Donald, which we've found out that we cannot. And we never will be able to. He has certain skill set that's become very, very much invaluable in the field. So what we've done is we've used Clark Patterson Lee, but now we've gone in and we've hired someone, Mr. Josh Ferris, who worked for Mr. Whidden in Public Works, who is going to become our building official and will also be certified in E&S inspections. But he has to go through all the training. So in the meantime, to get him trained up, we've gone to Bureau Veritas to come in, and they're a full-service company. They do the building inspections, they do the soil and erosion, they do all the plan review, they can do everything for us. And as part of that, they also help to train Josh. He can go out and ride with them, and they can guide him. Miss Susan Carpenter's our contact there, and she's got a lot of local experience. She used to be the building official at the city of Suwanee, and she's been up here at Veritas. They do, I believe, Brazelton, the city of Oakwood, so they're all in the area. And then an added bonus to that is their building official can actually do the erosion and soil inspections at the same time. So it limits it to one inspector going out and be able to do that instead of two. So I think that'll help curb the cost as well. And then eventually, I don't think we'll ever get away from not having a company outsourced to do erosion and sediment control, because it's just a lot. And with the MS4 state requirements, and we have to do it. And I don't want to get in a position where we have another overburdened individual who's doing 2 or 3 jobs. So I don't think that we'll ever lose that, outsourcing it, but I do think we'll be able to carve into it, and we'll have at least Josh and possibly Miss Amanda Nix, who's our code enforcement officer, also trained and certified to do those E&S inspections. So we're hoping down the road we'll have those 2 qualified to help out with that, outsource the rest, and have Mr. Ferris do all the building inspections. But this company is full service, and that's why I'd like to use them and to help train Josh up as well.
How is this company compensated? Is this an annual?
So there's several ways you can do it, and to start off, we're going to do it per inspection. It's an hourly, which is a little less than what we currently pay.
Excellent.
And that, again, as Mr. Englund said previously, this is just something that's going to fluctuate as we go forward. It's going to depend on what's going to come out of the ground, how many inspections we're going to have, and all that. But we're hopeful to have Mr. Ferris up and running sooner rather than later. He's very excited. He's already started buying the books and everything, even though he's not sure exactly which ones to get, but he's very enthusiastic. We're happy to have him.
So this contract then would be like a pay-as-you-go?
Correct. And they're also on our software. We have iWork software that we just got up and running, and they're on that already. So that's very helpful that they can just get on an iPad in the field and check what inspections they have to do. They can do it all there. It's much faster than it was before. Previously with Clark Patterson Lee would have to come in the office, log in, and go through it. I think this will help with that and save some time as well.
So that reduced time also factors into the fact this will cost us less because they're using it less time to play off the software?
Correct.
So they could adjust the terms annually, and
Correct.
then either party can get out with 30 days' notice.
I believe that's correct, sir, yes.
Okay.
We're hoping to build a long-term relationship with them to, be on call to help us out when we need it as well.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you. And next we'll go to the consideration of a contract proposal from Thomas and Hutton.
So this is in the same vein. This is just a backup, basically. This is a firm that does a lot of work here locally that I've dealt with on several projects. And instead of being reliant on just one company, we thought it would be nice to have someone local in a pinch that we could use. So in meeting with Mr. Kyle Bowen, who works for this company and who I've dealt with personally several times in several projects, Ms. Parrish and I thought it would be a good idea to have them, contract with them as kind of a backup to help us out when needed.
Okay.
And that's the same, that pay-as-you-go?
Yes, sir.
That's what that,
And this is kind of a vague, wide-open contract, and that was done purposely, so if we need them for something, we feel that it's covered and we can use them if need be.
So it's just a backup.
Yeah, we will not be using them regularly at all.
Veritas will be our,
Veritas will be our primary.
anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, department reports, city clerk.
Sir, I have nothing tonight.
Okay. I don't see our community relations, she's not here tonight, okay. Finance department,
Good evening. I feel like sometimes, most of the time, the finance department gets to come up here and bear the bad news sometimes, but tonight I'd like to bear some good news. Oftentimes we have our employees training constantly so they can become a more efficient employee. And through Carl Vincent Institute of Government, which y'all are all familiar with because you got your mandatory training through them, we send our employees to participate in several different levels of training. And several of our employees have reached level 1 certification. Nancy Rodriguez and Crystal and Cherie also has, and Elias has started his process to reach that level 1 certification. So I just wanted to brag on them, brag on our department that we are continually training. Also wanted to announce that through that process, Crystal has received a scholarship for her level 2 training, so she'll get that training free of charge, but we'll get the benefit of it. And then I also wanted to invite Elias up to give some more good news.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm very pleased to announce that we had our first successful grant application this week with the Keep Georgia Beautiful Foundation in the amount of $5,000. The funds will be for the designated purpose of keeping the city clean and reducing litter. So next steps will be meeting with Renee and Bill to discuss best use of those funds, but I just wanted to get up here and let you guys know the good news.
that was granted, right? I mean,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Planning department anymore? Okay. Police department? Okay. Attorney's report? City council report? So,
Not on a report, but nice work, Crystal.
yeah.
No, sir.
Nothing to report tonight.
Nothing to report.
Okay, and the mayor doesn't have anything to report, so we'll adjourn that session, and we'll go to the voting section. Okay. Public comments, I think that gentleman was here, but he had nothing to say, so that's good. We'll go to the consent agenda. With a motion on that?
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, we move to the unfinished business. First is the consideration of second reading of ordinance 675.
So ordinance 675 is an ordinance that will amend the zoning map of the city of Flowery Branch, Georgia. It does so by rezoning a parcel of real property of land that totals 10.89 plus or minus acres. It's owned by Banks Family Property Management LLC, the McCrary Family Trust LP, and Burwell Investments LP. It's identified as 0 Falcon Parkway and has a tax parcel ID number of 08070001002. The rezoning would be from agriculture to highway business. the property is shown on Exhibit A, it's described on Exhibit B, and it would be subject to the conditions set forth on Exhibit C. This ordinance also provides for severability. It repeals conflicting ordinances. It provides for an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes.
Thank you. We have a motion there, please?
Ordinance 675 as written.
Okay, we have a motion, second?
Second?
Okay. Any more questions or discussions on that?
Yes. Curious about the corner lot there at Falcon Parkway and H.F. Reed Industrial Parkway. And that right now, it's just shown as a irregular shaped parcel there. But if you look at it in relationship to some of the other parcels, it looks sizable, like something could be built there. And I was just wondering what y'all intend to do with that. Because right now, it's not showing anything.
Commissioner, we don't know at this time. Thinking probably a fast food restaurant would be a good client right there, good visibility, but I don't know at this time.
Okay. But you would, with this parcel here with the trees and that kind of thing, I think right now it doesn't have a whole lot of trees and things on it right now. I think that's a little bit of a barren spot right there. I think there are some trees, but not, it's not, just high density with trees. But when all of this does come down, what are y'all planning on doing with that irregular shaped piece right there at the corner? I know you got trees surrounding the perimeter, but how about the rest of it there that it's going to back its way up to the?
You're talking about this right here?
That's correct. Yes, from where it says end of pavement. Is that what it says there? Yeah, proposed edge of pavement all the way to the trees along the roadway there.
I don't know. We'll address that when we come in with our grading plan and all. This is conceptually if we had to do a mass grading here. Mm-hmm. We think we're going to be able to save some trees on the backside. Of course, the strip here, these were the trees that we were going to put in. Good color and look great, but we'll do it. It will look good. I assure you of that, Commissioner.
I guess the one thing that I'm hoping that I don't want to see is just the trees, the perimeter of the trees, and then just some really rough pad of land sitting there that's not maintained, because it is going to be the corner lot. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the most visible lot there, and I just think that would look like, quite frankly, it would look blighted. When somebody rolls up on that intersection, if all you've got is a row of trees or a perimeter of trees that 5-6 months out of the year they don't have leaves on them, you're going to be able to see all of that back there. And if it's just a real rough landscape that you can't even put a mower on, you have to bush hog it and all that kind of stuff. I would like some kind of commitment that y'all are going to professionally landscape that corner.
We will.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't want to locate our facility, which you've seen
Yes.
pictures of it. It's first class. We don't want to have somebody next door that's an eyesore.
Right.
So we will have, we'll make sure it looks good. We will be able to control that when we sell the property or develop it ourselves. We'll have some commitments from whoever is there to keep that up the way you want it and the way we want it.
And so you'd be okay if we amended the condition tonight to require that you all professionally submit a landscape plan for that corner to be approved by the city staff?
I don't have an objection to that, no.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Want to make that?
Yep.
Okay.
I'd like to amend the motion to require that a professional landscape plan be provided for the parcel or the lot that adjoins Atlanta Highway and Falcon HF Reed and Falcon Parkway, and that plan should be approved by city staff.
Have a second on
It's going to be approved by city staff before grading occurs?
When do you think, Rich, that should be?
Normally at land disturbance, you get a landscape plan.
Okay.
So if it could be submitted at the time of land disturbance, that would be fine.
Okay. So the landscape plan should be submitted by, in conjunction with the land disturbance plan. Or land disturbance permit, excuse me.
I'll second.
Any other questions? Okay, let's vote then. All those in favor on that motion with conditions, say aye, please.
Aye.
So, Mr. Mayor, that vote would have been on just the amendment.
So now we got to vote on the actual.
Okay.
Then
Then
go
we'll
back
vote.
to the main motion, and then it's either will be amended or not. But so, just for clarity's sake, I think that's what you guys intended to do, but.
Yes.
Gotcha. So we're going to vote on the conditions now.
The actual ordinance.
Right.
So that was on the conditions, okay.
Just for the benefit of everyone and for the clerk, my understanding is that the council intended to make a motion to approve the amendment, and that passed unanimously. And then with that, you are now back to the main motion, which has already been made and seconded, so you just need to take a vote on that. It will be
Okay.
the main motion as amended.
Okay. All right, now we'll vote on that. You heard him, the main motion as amended. All those
Aye.
in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Pass. All right, next is the second reading of ordinance 676.
This is an ordinance that will amend the zoning map of the city of Flowery Branch, Georgia by rezoning a parcel of real property of land that totals 2.87 plus or minus acres. It's owned by the bank's property Management LLC, the McCrary Family Trust LP, and Burwell Investments LP. It's identified as 0 Falcon Parkway and tax parcel number 08073000004A. The rezoning will be from agriculture to highway business. The property is shown on Exhibit A. It's legally described on Exhibit B, and the rezoning would be subject to the conditions that are set forth on Exhibit C. The ordinance also provides for severability. It repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 676.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Have any questions about that one?
So just remember, you amended the other one, so since you've got now a main motion on the floor, if it's your intent, which would be, I think, staff's recommendation, to include the same amendment on this one, so you need to take that up if anyone's interested in making that amendment.
I'll make that amendment. Like for the requirement to be that a professional landscape plan be submitted for the piece of property that joins HF Reed and Falcon Parkway, and that plan should be submitted at the time of or prior to the land disturbance permit being issued.
We have a second for that, please?
I'll second that.
Okay. And now we're going to vote on the amendment first, okay? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the amendment passed. Now the main motion. All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, the consideration of a variance allowing the gas pumps for the same property, allowing the gas pumps to be located in the front of the structure.
So this is an ordinance that would grant a variance from the requirements of Article 10, Section 10.9F of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance to the property at 0 Falcon Parkway, tax parcel ID number 08070001002. It's property owned by the Banks Property Management LLC, the McCrary Family Partnership, and Burwell Investments LP. This property is shown as on Exhibit A. It's described on Exhibit B, and it would be subject to the conditions that are set forth on Exhibit C by allowing fuel pumps to be located in front of the primary structure. The ordinance also provides for severability, it repeals conflicting ordinances, it provides for an effective date, and is for all other lawful purposes.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve the variance request submitted by VM&R LLC, allowing gasoline pumps to be located in front of the primary structure.
okay. We have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, then we'll vote. All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the next one is the consideration of the second reading of ordinance 688.
Mr. Mayor, there's actually a second ordinance in the variance item for the other piece of property that the council previously rezoned, if I could read that one.
Wait a minute. Can you, I can't understand.
Sorry, it's the item before. There is a second ordinance
Oh,
because we
that's right.
rezoned 2 parcels. This is, we got 2 variances.
Yeah, there's 2 there.
Yes, sir. And so this is ordinance number 685. It's a second reading of an ordinance that would grant a variance from the requirements of Article 10, Section 10.9F of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance. The variance would be granted to parcel located at 0 Falcon Parkway with a tax parcel ID number of 08073000004A. Property is owned by the Banks Property Management LLC, the McCrary Family Partnership LP, and Burwell Investments LP. This property is shown on Exhibit A, legally described on Exhibit B, and the variance will be subject to the conditions set forth in Exhibit C. And the variance is specifically would be to allow fuel pumps to be located in front of the primary structure. The ordinance provides for severability, repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for an effective date, and is for all other lawful purposes.
Motion to approve ordinance 685.
First thing. I got a question. Is that ordinance, is that because is it on a different piece of property?
Yes, sir. Just like you had 2 rezoning ordinances because you were dealing with 2 separate parcels, there are 2 concurrent variances that correspond to those 2 parcels you just rezoned.
Okay. We have a motion, second.
Just ask a question on that. If the property, does the property where the gas station that's drawn here, does that go on to both pieces of property, or is it solely on one?
So how it's currently laid out, it's just the actual store is only on the front parcel. You may recall this variance came up last minute, and I actually advertised it for both just to be safe, and that's why you have 2 variances on both sets of property, just to make sure if there's any kind of movement on it, they're covered.
Okay, so in
Was
case
out
it
of
goes over the line,
abundance of
but
caution on my part.
I'm just wondering, though, if on this same property, maybe further down the corner, if by approving that, then that gas station could have them in the front too, even if they're...
Yes, in theory, if they put a second gas station next to their gas station, then they would be granted that variance, correct?
Okay. Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, this is for ordinance 685. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, passed.
Okay.
Next is the second reading of ordinance 688.
This is an ordinance to provide for the general election for the city of Flowery Branch, Georgia for 2023. This establishes and sets the date and time of the general election for 2023 for the City of Flowery Branch, which is for council members, post 1 and 2. The ordinance provides for a qualifying period for those positions, provides for a qualifying fee for each position, provides for a qualifying procedure, appoints election officials, provides for the opening and closing of registration for said general election. It repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for severability, and is for all other lawful purposes.
Okay, do we have a motion? Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the second reading of ordinance 688 as presented.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. New business. And we'll go back to that farmer's market that wasn't in here. We discussed, that's not on the agenda. So, and there's a recommended thing on that.
Move to declare an emergency based on staff's report and approve change order number 12 for the Farmers Market Main Street project in the amount not to exceed $76,545.53, allowing the contract an additional 30 days for the work to be completed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Next is the Drug Enforcement Administration Task Force Agreement that we must approve tonight. Can we get need a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the agreement provided by the DEA Task Force.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next is the consideration of variance request submitted by Jason Jackson, ordinance 678 for, and there's a whole bunch of those. So I'll let you read those, Mr. Bennett.
Sure, if you'll give me a moment to make my way to the ordinance.
I'm assuming we have to vote on each one of those.
Yes, it would be helpful, I think, and clearer to go through all of them. I can certainly read all of them back to back, and if you wanted to make a composite motion for all of them, that would be fine.
That's what we're going to do.
Yes, what you want to do?
That's right.
All right, that's a lot of reading, and I did choke up on that first one, so here goes nothing. We'll start with ordinance number, and I'll ask Rich to make sure that I'm catching all of these as we go through, but this is the first reading of ordinance number 678. This is an ordinance that will grant variances from the R2 residential detached single-family low-density district requirements of Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance to 6005 Lights Ferry Road. It's a property owned by Global Flooring and Building Materials. It's shown on Exhibit A, it's described on Exhibit B, and it's subject to the conditions that are set forth in Exhibit C. And the variances are a reduction in the minimum required lot size from 15,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet, a reduction in the minimum required lot width from 75 feet to 50 feet, and reduction in the required side setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, it repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes. And if you'll give me a moment to scroll down to the next ordinance. The next ordinance is number 679, and it's the first reading of an ordinance that grants variances from the R2 residential detached single-family low-density district requirements of Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance. The variance would be granted to 6006 Lights Ferry Road, property owned by Global Flooring and Building Material. It's shown on Exhibit A, legally described on Exhibit B, and subject to the conditions that are set forth in Exhibit C. The variance is a reduction in the minimum required lot size from 15,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet. The reduction in minimum required lot width from 75 feet to 50 feet, and a reduction in the required side setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, it repeals conflicting ordinances, it provides for an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes. And then the next ordinance is ordinance 679, and it's also an ordinance, is that correct?
I think you just did that one.
Okay. So this is actually ordinance number 680? All right. If you give me a moment. So that one did say 2010. I think the caption just might have a typo. Have a typo? Okay. You guys might have been better off just to do each one separately. Given the speed at which your attorney's reading these. So this is actually ordinance 680. It's the scrivener's error in your packet. And this ordinance grants a variance from the R2 residential detached single-family low-density district requirements of Article 6. 2 of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance. The variance is granted to property located at 6010 Lights Ferry Road, also owned by Global Flooring and Building Material. It's shown on Exhibit A. It's described on Exhibit B, and it's subject to the conditions that are set forth in Exhibit C. And those variances are a reduction in the minimum required lot size from 15,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet, the reduction in the minimum required lot width from 75 feet to 50 feet, and reducing the side yard setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, repeals conflicting ordinances, and it's for all other lawful purposes.
And Mr. Bennett, you said that that was ordinance
680.
680. So we've done 678, 679, 680 so far.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
3 more.
You guys should appreciate the iOS version of iLegislate. I'm actually having to work off the PC version, and it is ancient in its interface.
I'm just glad the city doesn't have to pay you per word.
You're right. Meetings on retainer.
Right, we don't have to read that.
Oh my goodness. Is it easier? I'm going to switch to Tanya's iPad. Thank you. So 681 is an ordinance granting variances from the R2 residential detached single family low density district requirements of Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning code. This ordinance will grant variances to 6014 Lights Ferry Road, owned by Global Flooring and Building Material. That property is shown on Exhibit A, described on Exhibit B, and subject to the conditions that are set forth on Exhibit C. And the variances reduce the minimum required lot size from 15,000 square feet to 7,000, reduces the minimum required lot width from 75 feet to 50 feet, reduces the required side setback from 10 feet to 5 feet, provides for severability, repeals conflicting ordinances, establishes an effective date, and is for all other lawful purposes. 682 is an ordinance granting variances from the R2, that's the residential detached single-family low-density district, requirements of Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance. The variance would be granted to 6016 Lights Ferry Road, again owned by Global Flooring and Building Material. It's shown on Exhibit A. The property is described on Exhibit B. Variance would be granted and subject to the conditions that are set forth in Exhibit C. Again, the variants are the same as the ones previously. A reduction in lot size from 15,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet, reduction in the lot width from 75 to 50, and reduction in the side setback from 10 to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, it repeals conflicting ordinances, establishes an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes. 682 is also an ordinance that would grant a variance from the R2, the residential attached single-family low-density district. Am I still in order? Okay. Okay, so Scrivener's error, this is ordinance 683. It's an ordinance that grants variances from the R2 residential detached single-family low-density district requirements of Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance. The variance is to 6018 Lights Ferry Road. It's owned by Global Flooring and Building Materials that are shown on, property shown on Exhibit A, described on Exhibit B, and subject to the conditions that are set forth in Exhibit C. Again, the variances are a reduction in these minimum required dimensions. Lot size would go down from 15,000 to 7,000 square feet. Lot width would go down from 75 to 50 square feet, and the side setback would go down from 10 feet to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes. And I believe that is the last one.
I think you got them all. Hopefully hurry up and build on those lots and get them all over, so. Okay, you said we can lump those together now. Is that right? Yeah, okay.
To make a composite motion to approve or deny ordinances, first number through
Just read them
last.
all, yeah.
Do you have to wait till there's a motion to ask a que, do you have to wait till there's a motion to
Yep.
ask a question?
Yeah, make the motion. First, somebody make the motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 678, 679, 680, 681, 682, and 683.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had a question to make. These all then match up with that old parcel, the way the parcels were laid out, right? I mean, this didn't change any of those.
Turn your microphone on.
Is it on? That should be on. It's not working?
No.
I think the question was, does this line up with the originally recorded plat from the 1950s that was supplied? And yes, it should line up, but as part of the conditions, they will have to re-record a plat to show specifically what's there. I think, this was done, it's kind of a confusing little area. It was platted, and I think it was 1953, and what's built out there doesn't really meet that. It's, there's houses over property lines and all that. So, yeah, this will bring it back close to that, but then they'll have to re-record it to make sure it's all proper. So we'll have an updated plat for that whole area.
Okay.
And I want to make sure, Rich, and I believe this is the case, but I just want to make sure from you, that the house renderings that were submitted, that they are tied to the variance request. So that is in the documentation, so there's no, down the road, if this were sold, they didn't build it and it was sold, a new developer would have to build structures like they have shown us here.
Correct.
Okay. Because to me, that's kind of a la Mitchell Street. It has that same look. And to me, I think that's something that I think we're striving to see more of, as that's been a nice little corridor, nice development. Being able to see that extend up Lights Ferry, I think would be a nice plus.
Any other questions? Okay. That's good. All right, we have a motion and a second. That is for all 6 of those properties. All those in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, they passed. Next is to consider a variance request for Mr. Jason Jackson from zoning on at 6027 and 6031 Morrill Drive. And I believe he wants to build one house on that.
And Mr. Mayor, since we have 2 parcels, we have 2 ordinances, and the first one is ordinance number 687, I believe. It's an ordinance that grants variances from the R2 residential detached single-family low-density district requirements of Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning code. The variance would be granted as 6027 Morrow Drive. The property is owned by Global Flooring and Building Material, is shown on Exhibit A. It's described on Exhibit B, and it's subject to the conditions set forth in Exhibit C. The variances are to reduce the minimum required lot size from 15,000 to 77,000 square feet, reduction of the minimum lot width from 75 to 50 feet, and the reduction of the required side setback from 10 to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for an effective date, and it's for all other lawful purposes. And Mr. Mayor, I'm making the assumption that you and the rest of council would like for me to go ahead and read the second ordinance as well?
I think we're all in agreement on that.
I guess maybe watching paint dry is a little more exciting than watching me scroll. Ordinance number 687 is the second ordinance, pardon me?
That'd be 686.
Okay, so the second ordinance is 687. This is the ordinance that would grant variances from the R2 residential detached single-family low-density district requirements that are in Article 6, Table 6.2 of the Flowery Branch zoning ordinance. The variances would be granted to 6034 Morrow Drive, property owned by Global Flooring and Building Material. The property is shown on Exhibit A, described on Exhibit B, and subject to the conditions set forth in Exhibit C. And again, the variances are all reductions from minimum requirements. The first is lot size from 15,000 to 7,000 square feet. Second reduction is lot width from 75 to 50 feet. And finally, a reduction in the side yard setback from 10 to 5 feet. The ordinance provides for severability, repeals conflicting ordinances, provides for an effective date, and is for all other lawful purposes.
And just to be clear, this is extremely confusing. I feel bad for Mr. Bennett, but there's 686 and 687. It's a
Oh, it's, yeah, it's there. Okay, we need a motion to, then we're going to make the motion, one motion for both those ordinances. And anybody can make that motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 686 and 687.
Okay. Okay. Motion and a second.
Let me just, I'd like to ask one quick question. Did you say 6031 or 6034? Was it?
So the two addresses are, what are the two addresses? 6027 and 6031.
Okay. And then, again, when I thought we were dealing with this before, they were looking at building one house.
That's true.
Okay, so is this the way you would parcel it into two that way, and then you end up being able to build over the lot line?
No, so this gives the variances to both parcels, but the intent is to combine it and build one house. And it's the applicant is going to do this for his parents are building this. But even when you combine the lots, you still need the variances in order to fit the house on. It's going to be a ranch house. We actually worked on trying not to get a variance for this. If we could have just combined the lots and done it, we still couldn't meet the code. So that's why it's done this way.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like you couldn't give the variance to one and then have the second one sitting there and then combine them. So
No, I think that, I'm just, I don't know, I just was a little curious about when you have, is it automatic that people can put two lots together and then build a house on there?
It's a very easy process.
Okay, but there's another process
Yes.
that allows that to happen. Okay, all right, that's fine.
Anything else?
I get this one. It's going to be the one house or ranch, so it too is tied to the submittals that were as part of this variance request. Is that correct?
This is tied to be a ranch house,
Okay,
but I
'cause
do
the other
not.
ones
I
are
don't have any. It's conditioned to be a ranch.
Okay,
But that's it. I don't have color renderings or anything
Gotcha.
for this one.
yeah. I was thinking all the other ones were multi-level, so.
Correct.
Right, the others, but then this one was the one where we only had the opposition saying that they're fine, that the neighbor was fine as long as it was a ranch. So is that?
Correct.
We're happy with that.
Okay.
All right, that's good. Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Next consideration of resolution 23-002.
This very simply is a resolution that would amend the budget for fiscal year 2023 as previously adopted on June 23rd, 2022. The amendment would be as presented by Ms. Hightower and is shown on the attachments that are attached to this resolution.
Okay, can we have a motion on that resolution, please?
Make a motion for the city council to authorize approval of resolution 23-002, second quarter amendment to the budget for fiscal year 2023 as previously adopted on June 23rd, 2022 as presented in attachment A and B.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on that one? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passed. Next is the consideration of professional services agreement with Bureau Veritas North America. I think all we need is a motion on that.
I move that we approve a professional service agreement with Bureau Veritas North America.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next is the consideration of a contract from Thomas and Hutton to provide development and building, and this is going to be like a backup, I believe. So, somebody want to give us a motion on that?
I move to approve a contract proposal from Thomas and Hutton to provide development building plan review for the city as needed.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passed. And the last one, the consideration to build a new single-family detached residential home at 5710 Gainesville Street. We just need a motion on that.
Motion to approve the request to build a new single-family detached residential home at 5710 Gainesville Street.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passed. Congratulations, folks. We're going to have a nice house up there. Yeah. And we don't have to go into an executive session, so we need a motion for that, I think.
We do, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Somebody want to make that
Which,
motion?
Pending litigation and property acquisition and disposition.
Motion to move into executive session for pending and potential litigation and property.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Thank you, folks, for being here. We'll adjourn for this, and then we'll be back. Thank you for coming.
Motion to exit executive session.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we only need one more motion, I think we're gonna be done.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.